Many of the early Mahler symphonies had titles. Maybe the Third Symphony, it's sort of what love tells me, what nature tells me. You could call this symphony what death tells me, what death teaches me. And this does not imply that it's a work of black depression, but it does imply a man looking at what this means. Dark Night of the Soul, which is the first movement. And finally, in all his pieces, he found really the shape for the middle movements, what these two scherzos are. And in a way, it's very simple. I mean, they're both very bitter, very sarcastic, very angry pieces. I mean, most simply put, the second movement is everything he most hates about the country. And the third movement is everything he most hates about the city. And the last movement is really a resolution. In his late 40s, he was at the height of his powers. He was not an old man, although he was ill. And he was somebody who could have gone on to create so many more things. But this is somebody who believed in making the symphony the whole world. And the whole world around him was crumbling. And like many other people in these early years of the century, he could understand that the whole society was dissolving around him. The musicians and the artists got there much before the politicians and the historians. You have to take the place of a composer in these pieces. In most of Mahler's pieces, he gives you an enormous amount of help, an enormous amount of subsidiary tempos, all kinds of points where you think, oh, I think I'd like just now to move on a little bit. And suddenly, at that very moment, you will see the words, nicht eilen, don't rush. He knows so well what you feel as a conductor while you're making music. That's missing in these pieces. And so are many of the dynamic rebalancings which are in his earlier pieces. And I think as he realized his death was imminent, that he speeded up to make sure that at least people could understand what he was driving at. Mahler was not played very much in Berlin. After the first flowering, there were a lot of performances in the 20s when it was relatively new music. and then was really the time where Bruckner and Strauss were considered more important. And it's quite something to know that before this week, the last 52 performances, I counted 52 performances of this symphony, were conducted by Claudio. And of course, the last movement is a leave-taking, but it's a leave-taking which is full of incredible love. Even the first movement, which is so convulsive, it does not give way to the despair, or at least not without a huge struggle.